We're going to discuss some news, and then we're going to talk about Epcot past, present, and future. That's coming up today on Traveling with the Mouse. Welcome, everybody, to episode number 377 of Traveling with the Mouse. I'm your host this week. My name is Adam, and I am joined today by John.
We hope you enjoy our story tonight.
Is that your best Jeremy Irons impression?
No, it wasn't Jeremy Irons.
Oh, sounds like you were doing Jeremy Irons.
Let me see if I can do this different. We hope you enjoy our story tonight. Oh, it's still terrible.
Okay.
Reflections of Earth.
Yes. There you have it.
You don't know?
Who did that voice, though?
It was the guy that does Winnie the Pooh. I don't know if you've...
Oh.
You can, if you go back and listen to the narration of Reflections of Earth, you can tell it's the guy that does Winnie the Pooh. Because all you gotta do is like make his voice a little higher and it's Pooh.
Oh, right, okay.
I can't think of his name now for some reason, but you know.
Yeah.
It's the same person.
Somebody out there knows. I'm sure.
Someone out there already knows. But yeah, it's the same person that does Pooh's voice.
Got it. Well, speaking of, we will get into some Epcot. We're going to do some past, present, and maybe the future, if there is one.
Epcot's all about the future.
Is it, though, anymore?
Well, I mean, there's Future World. Oh, wait, what's it called now?
World Celebration.
Oh, yeah. Is that what it is? World Celebration? It's no longer the future. So maybe there's no longer a future to Epcot.
So we shall see.
It's like IP World. Oh, wait.
Right.
IP Celebration. That's
yeah.
what it should be called.
Okay. Celebrate the IP? Oh. Yeah.
Celebrate the fact that IP.
Exactly. So it is.
Oh, well, let's think about it. Future World went from having 0 IP tie-ins to beginning with Nemo, now having, what? How many in that area? Just 2 in Future World right now? Surely there's more than that.
I mean, we have, what are you saying, Guardians and Nemo?
And Nemo, that's it. That only has IP, right? I mean, I was like,
For
surely
now.
there's more than that, but I guess
Ooh.
not.
Yeah, when you think about it, I guess Epcot is still the last frontier of the least
IP.
amount. But really, you think about it, too, the COVID kind of
Kingdom.
stopped it. Well, yes, Animal Kingdom doesn't have as much.
I mean, the only IP they had when the park opened was like it's tough to be a bug, right? Wasn't that pretty much it?
Yeah, I guess, do we consider Avatar IP? I guess it is now.
Yeah, I mean, when they added it, though. But, I mean, like I said, originally.
But they didn't own Avatar when Avatar came out.
Yeah, you might as well have. They were in bed with James Cameron, so.
Right, but now they, bought the whole thing, 20th Century Fox, but.
I look up sometimes the products that Disney technically owns now that I'm a little shocked that when I think about it. I think back to stuff like Family Guy. I'm like, yeah, I guess Disney owns that now, right? The rights to that, like it keeps going on, but
really?
That's a Disney product. Because it was a Fox product, right?
Right.
So, yeah, that's what was shown on was Fox.
Right, but was it? Well, I guess so, because they own The Simpsons now, too, yeah, which is weird.
Yeah.
Wow.
And of course, I seriously doubt that they ever put Family Guy on Disney Plus. I mean, I'll probably just keep it on like Hulu and stuff, but.
Right, for now.
I wouldn't, Simpsons were not quite as crude, I guess, at times, we'll say, as Family Guy could be.
Well, yeah. Right.
So.
That's for sure.
So maybe that's the reason why.
Yeah.
Don't let the name fool you.
Right.
Type deal. But I mean that, and it was like I think I was watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I realized I was like, oh yeah, Disney owns that as well, because that was a Fox product. That was a Fox owned that.
Yeah,
so,
they got a lot of stuff in this acquisition.
Yeah, they have a lot of things they own.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, did you see how like for like I don't know, like one day, pretty much, or over the course of the weekend, what was it? Dish and Sling was without like ESPN and ABC and all those major Disney products until they came to I think it was a handshake agreement, was it, by Monday morning, so it's back on now.
Right.
But
that happens a lot, by the way, with these streaming services, yeah.
A lot of people made a big deal about it, though, saying that it had to do with Disney taking a huge loss on Disney Plus and all that stuff as a reason. And they like made it sound like they held Sling and Dish specifically up for more money.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is something that happens all the time. It's already been taken care of. And I mean, I have no doubt that it's pretty lucrative, whatever it is. I mean, but because I haven't seen a number, but they have already gone on record as saying they expect to lose money on Disney Plus until like 2024. So, I mean, no, they're not trying to recoup that. That's just crazy. They're already expecting to lose money on Disney Plus. So,
yep. Speaking of Disney Plus, this is our last month that we prepaid for 3 years ago.
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah,
well, see, I've already gotten some sort of it's weird. I got a credit on my...
Right. You've already switched kind of to a different plan, so to speak.
Well, I was getting credited on my bill, but I got some kind of a credit on my Disney Chase card because that's what I was paying for it with. But I got a $13.99 credit on there for some reason. There was something they did concerning Disney Plus. I just don't remember specifically what it is, but maybe because I was in the Hulu package. I mean, because I was getting like a discounted on the Hulu package, or the Hulu package, the package that had Hulu Live, Disney Plus, and ESPN Plus.
Sure. Well, anyway. Well, shifting gears for a second, the Hurricane Harriet,
In Hartford, Hereford, and Hampshire, hurricanes hardly ever happen.
Wink. We talked about this like when we recorded last week, but it had like literally just happened when we were.
Yeah, some of it was still, as far as what took place, was developing, I guess.
Right. But as far as Disney goes, I'd say minimal damage for the most part.
Which is what we expected.
Not much what I saw. Some minor flooding of some of the waterways, some branches and limbs, maybe a few light poles knocked over or something like that. But as far as the parks go, I didn't see anything major other than a few of the rides seem to be affected, like Pirates, even still, mate, because it had some downtime as we're recording this.
Well, we assume it's something related to that, but that's just weird.
Right. Did it sustain some damage that is causing some lingering issues is the question, right?
I think one of the most notable ones was the canopy off of Test Track.
Yeah. Right. That's one. Or did they take that off before, or was it...
There was some debate about that.
Did they take it off right after?
There is at least one person I know that reported that they asked and said, no, it was ripped off. So.
Oh, okay. So they've basically just removed the rest of it. Correct.
It depends on how well you rely on cast member knowledge.
Right.
Because they say a lot of things, to be quite honest, when you talk to them.
Some people know firsthand. Some people have heard it several times.
Even if they don't really know what they're talking about, they're going to give you an answer. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
The day after was it 2 days after, I guess, technically, when when all the parks reopened, but Hall of Presidents, Pirates, Kali, Kilimanjaro Safari, and Everest were the ones that had delayed openings when the parks reopened. So we don't know specifically, but as I said, Pirates has been down as we're recording this. There was an outage for a significant amount of the day on the day that or was it yesterday as we're recording this? Anyway, point is, this is several days ago when you're actually hearing this, but who knows, maybe something else will come up about that.
Well, the real question overall is, what is it that has changed, right? Because we've seen this maintenance, seemingly a maintenance issue in recent years, period. Not storm-related.
Good point.
So the question is, what's going on? Are they not spending enough money on maintenance? Yeah. Are they still having staffing issues with maintenance? Because I would feel like that should be pretty much over with at this point, the staffing issues. But
yeah, well, yes and no. I think everyone's having staffing issues, though.
I could see certain industries, but I would think Disney... it's just a matter of really calling people back for the most part, right?
I guess, but I don't think they paid particularly well for a lot of cast member positions, so.
Well, I would feel like maintenance, there's a certain pay level that just goes without saying, I would think.
You would hope, but I don't know. But let's see, is there anything else on that? I saw some like tree damage at Animal Kingdom, some minor things like that, but nothing significant really to report other than that. What was it? That exterior at Hollywood Studios that fell down is basically just a covered up wall at this point at the moment.
Yeah.
Still.
Wasn't there some exterior damage to another building? What was it?
It wasn't the hurricane, but anyway.
It wasn't?
The one at Hollywood Studios? At Keystone Clothiers?
Oh, no. Yeah, I'm sorry. You know what? I know what I was thinking. That was actually at Universal. It wasn't at Disney. There was some exterior damage to the
Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park building, the Jurassic Park the ride building.
Hulk was underwater, a little of it.
Yeah.
That's all I remember from Universal, but
I've never really looked into too much what happened at Legoland because they were closer to the bad part of the storm. Like the eye pretty much went right through where it was.
Really?
So I haven't heard really, other than they're operating. I mean, I haven't really heard about what took place in that area. So I'm guessing since they're operating, they must not have been too bad. So
I suppose. Yeah. Didn't I see something about Caribbean Beach rooms are going to be like the pirate rooms are finally getting a...
Well, I was questioning whether or not that was the pirate rooms. Is it just the pirate rooms? Because supposedly there's rooms that are getting an under the sea theme, is the way it was put. But it said all the rooms in Trinidad. Are those all pirate rooms? Or these rooms, were in Trinidad? Is that where the pirate rooms are? You've been in them before, right? I haven't.
I have not been in pirate rooms, but I knew that they were in that area, I thought, yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure because I haven't been in one. I know James has been in one and Jason has, right? So
yeah, I think Jason, not me.
Both have been in a pirate room. They're one of the few rooms on property that still have double beds.
Ugh.
And that'll probably change with this renovation. I think that's the goal, kind of to modernize the entire property, and there's very few rooms left on property that have not been modernized.
Yeah.
Even the mermaid rooms that you detest, at least they had enough of an update in which they have the storage under the bed thing and the hard floors versus the carpet. That was the only things that really changed, though.
Yeah.
So still had the curtain for the bathroom, which is what your wife hated, right?
Yes, that was, yeah. No privacy in this place at all.
Wait a minute. Where does that come from?
You know, Carousel of Progress.
Oh,
Uncle.
yes. I don't know. I totally missed that. Oh, how did I miss that?
A.K.A. Mel Blanc.
Really? He did it?
He did the voice.
Oh, that's right. It sounds like him, doesn't it?
It was like the only voice he did for Disney, I think. Anyway.
Ever. It's been a long time since I've seen Carousel.
This is all over the place, by the way. A little bit of Christmas news. Santa Claus is coming to the Odyssey at Epcot.
Well, I mean, they got to bring people to it somehow.
Last year it was that American Adventure, so this is specifically the Epcot one.
Right.
They moved him. They moved him to the Odyssey.
We have to have Santas everywhere.
Mr. Santos.
Mr. Santos.
Yeah. That's on Disney Plus, right? I hope it is.
Probably not yet. Probably as soon as the stroke of midnight on on November the 1st. Well, technically, right? That's when all the Christmas stuff.
It's not already there. Ernest Saves Christmas. Anyway.
I don't know. A lot of the stuff they take away and put it like seasonal, like Home Alone. You know.
Boo. Well, I guess it makes sense though, because who's gonna watch Home Alone? Well, somebody
except at
would.
Christmas time.
I mean, somebody would,
but I'm just giving an example. A lot of the Christmas stuff, they take it down, and then when Christmas comes around, they put it back up. I think they do that with Halloween, too, though. I think some of the stuff goes away and then comes back. Some of it. Not all of it.
Yeah.
But
does Disney own Polar Express? Was that?
No, wasn't that a Fox property?
That was Warner Brothers, I think. Never mind.
Was it?
Okay. I was just curious. I'm trying to think if that was...
I was going to say, speaking of the Halloween stuff, Hocus Pocus 2 came out on Friday. I don't know if you watched it.
No, I have not.
We did.
Did you? What'd you think?
Well, I mean, because my Maddie especially, she watched the first one, so she was anticipating the second one.
Right. What'd you think?
So. I didn't think it was all that bad. I mean, it was pretty good.
Are they old?
It's hard to... the whole sequel thing, I mean, this just seems like it's a cash-in type thing.
Yeah. I mean, this is like 30 years later, right?
Yeah,
Am I
it
wrong?
is. And
Almost.
I think one of the main reasons they did this, though, is not so much for a younger audience as it is the people who became like a cult following of the original, which they were like from the ages of like 6 to 12 in 1993. So the people that are really into this are in their 30s anyway, maybe even 40s
Right.
in some cases. So, yeah.
Yep.
Because the original did not do well in the box office at all.
Right.
It
But
gained its following because it was
on
one of the things that
VHS.
was one of the things that was on Disney Channel right after it started the transition from a premium channel to a cable channel. So that may have had a lot to do with it. And they showed it a lot after it came out. Must have been the following Halloween, probably. They showed it all the time. I admit I never knew anything about it until it was on Disney Channel, and I actually kind of liked it after that. I mean, I kept my attention. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, the sequel. I mean, it has its moments. It has a little bit of that nostalgia feel to it. Of course, they have their little moments where it feels like they're forcing to be modern. I guess in some ways is the best way to put it. That's all I'm going to say about that. Let's move along.
Well, speaking of Disney Plus, though, you also mentioned you've started watching Andor, the Star Wars.
Just today, as a matter of fact.
I normally would try to keep up with those because I'm looking forward to this one, but have not. What are your initial non-spoiler thoughts of?
So far, it's a really good story. I think it follows along the lines of all the other series that they have done. They put a good story, an attractive and interesting story that makes you want to know what's happening next. That's the best.
Yeah.
I mean, without giving too much away at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the mini series or whatever you want to call it, they're knocking it out of the park, Star Wars wise, with that. And if they can find some way to transition that to film,
Yeah.
then that would be better. But
I think that's why they've stopped doing the films right now.
they have no reason to. They're doing so well with these. That's probably their best thing for that they could do. Truthfully, they might as well just continue doing miniseries.
I mean, I guess, but I mean, they're not really making enough money with Disney Plus yet, right? That's kind of the
No,
other
but I
thing.
mean, they're gaining popularity.
Yeah. And the Star Wars fan base is accepting these much better, so.
Right, and so therefore it translates into merchandising in some cases.
Right.
So they've had good merchandising, especially out of Mandalorian, and
Oh, yeah.
I feel like they did a little bit with what did they call the Boba Fett one? They just called it Boba Fett. Was there a name besides that?
Book of Boba Fett.
Book of Boba Fett. That's what it was. Yeah, even that one, even though it was not
As well received.
as well received, yeah, it's still
I liked it,
merchandising.
I still liked it.
Yeah, we know.
Okay. Just saying. It's not Mandalorian good, but I still liked it.
And the question is, when we're going to get to see Mandalorian again? It's going to be a while, isn't it?
Next year, I think next spring,
Yeah.
maybe.
I wonder why so long. I don't know.
I think they thought maybe they could transition to other miniseries, but people love The Mandalorian so much that they're like, okay, let's make another season.
But the thing is, with all these shows, like if you wait too long, you lose the audience. Like I feel that's the problem that even this final season of Walking Dead's having. Like they wait too long in between when they release new episodes that they kind of lose a little bit of their audience in that time period. They wait too long.
Possibly, but
So-
I don't know. I think Mando will always be the best, like the
We'll see.
most watched of all of them. But anyway, okay, so that's good. Chronologically, though, it's post Revenge of the Sith still, but
Oh, yeah, it's-
pre Rogue One,
it's-
obviously
It's when the Empire is
taking power.
yeah, most definitely. Because, well, for one thing, Cassian is fully grown, but they do these flashback things about his childhood, so you're kind of getting his backstory at the same time.
Right.
So it's,
Right.
I guess, in the sense, kind of like the Book of Boba Fett did, except they just like occasionally do flashbacks to how he
Right.
came to be. I guess
That makes sense.
so far, but
But it's
yeah.
a similar format.
Yeah, I mean, but it's working. Let's put it that way. It's working a little better than the Back to Tank did.
the
But yeah,
the back to tank makes you flashback.
yeah. So they're not using that. There has been no Back to Tank so far.
Oh, good. Okay.
There has been an Imperial speeder though. You know, like was used in Return of the Jedi and the Ewoks.
Could be a speeder, one of ours.
Right.
Oh, sorry.
Those things have been on there. It's pretty cool to hear those sounds. You know what I mean? The noises
Yes.
that they had.
Yeah,
Yeah, those type things.
that's nice. I like it.
Anyway.
Well, if you're wanting to go to Hawaii next year, if you can use your Visa card to get 35% off specific rooms between
35% off would be how much still?
Yeah, still probably. I did the math, about $450 a night, most likely.
Yeah,
in that
still
ballpark.
pretty steep. But then you also got to get there. So
Right.
There's that.
But between January 5th and March 30th next year, as you use your Disney Visa card, for 5 or more nights, you get 35%. 4 nights, you get 30%. Those are on the partial or ocean view rooms, partial ocean view or ocean view. And then standard view is 30% off for 5 nights or 25% off 4 nights. But, yeah, all in all, about the same. Comes out about the same, but
Yeah.
that's cool. I mean, I looked today and I did not see this discount as an option, but maybe it's coming soon. I don't know.
So are you going to go to Hawaii soon?
I want to. I don't know if I can, but I would love to. I think the biggest problem is getting there. Flights are kind of nuts right now.
Yeah. You might could find a deal at some point.
Yeah.
Depends on the time of year, I'm sure.
Now, of course, Jason would be like, "Oh, I can do DVC points and all this," but
He already has
next year.
Yeah, his next year's. He's already scheduled this one, right? This coming weekend, right?
Yeah.
So,
Right.
or
He
at
keeps
the
upgrading.
point this episode will be released, he will already be there.
Right. By the time, next week, he'll be like, "Yeah, I upgraded to a grand villa at Riviera."
Yeah, his whole searching for points thing has been almost. I told him it was comparable to back when the day he was searching for FastPass, pretty much.
But hey, it gives
Like
him
finding
something
this and
fun
switching
to
it.
do. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Although
That'd be
I
fun.
get it. I mean, finding it was something better. I do the same thing almost with just regular hotels. I'm still, even after I've booked one, I still look, and then
Yeah, if you find
in
something.
the last number of times that I've gone, I think I've switched like at least 2 or 3 times per trip. I think. A lot of
Yes,
times.
yes. You've mentioned that too, yeah.
Yeah.
I switched to Coronado. No, I'm at French Quarter. No, I'm back to Coronado. Yeah.
Right.
I'm at Pop. No, I'm at Caribbean.
I was like, oh, I got All Stars. Oh, well, I'm in the Grand Destino Tower now. That's how.
Right.
I did it the first time. Well, the first time though, I had All Star movies,
Yeah.
and then Grand Destino opened, right?
Yeah.
And it was like $199 a night or something. I was like, yeah, I can't turn that down.
Right.
So,
Oh, wow, yeah.
yeah, you remember that? It
Yes.
was like September of 19
Yeah.
that I got that for.
That
Yeah.
was like the last
That was the
year
good old
you
days.
could, right.
3 years ago.
Now you can't
That was
get
the good
it.
old days, 3 years
You
ago.
could
No.
barely get it sub 400. Like,
Yeah, for the tower. Yeah.
yeah.
You
Anyway.
can get the outer rooms, and they're not bad. You can get the outer rooms for a decent deal a lot of
Yeah.
times.
Right.
Still not $199,
No.
even for an outer room.
Nope. All right, sad news. The Castle Dreamlights are not coming back yet again this year. So is this just a forever thing now? They're not going to do the Castle Dreamlights for Christmas anymore.
Now that they have projections instead.
The power bill is too high for the...
I mean, I think the
Dreamlights.
projections. What do they? Since the projection lights, do they give off less power? I don't
Yeah.
know.
I don't know.
Because they only do it so often. Maybe I don't know.
They use...
Less
people-
work for them, that's for sure, than putting
Yeah.
the lights on.
Well, because you'd have that crane there for like a week or 2 weeks. So
Yeah,
putting
normally
the
it would be
lights
there
on.
right now.
Right, the crane, yeah. So, yeah, I guess it's for the best. I don't know, but I honestly, I like the dreamsicle lights, but they
I
weren't
do.
like my favorite. I was like, it's okay, but it was a little overpowering.
And I enjoyed
To
the
me.
wreaths over the middle of Main Street, but I kind of understand why they would change that
Well,
just
if
for
they,
viewing purposes.
yeah, if they did Festival of Fantasy, the dragon would set them on fire. So
During, I
During-
don't know. They continue doing that during
I
Christmas.
feel like
guess
they do, right?
Always felt like they at some point switched to the Christmas parade, though. That's what I mean.
Yeah, but they don't give you the Christmas parade until like the week of Christmas because they want you to pay for the Christmas party to get the Christmas parade.
Oh, I see.
So now you got to
Well,
pay.
there was a time whenever they would show it during the daytime.
Well,
guess
it was
people
the
just
week
didn't know
of
it.
Christmas after the parties are over.
No, I meant like in general, like they just did probably for the purpose of not doing 2 different parades. They did it at one
perhaps.
point in time. I'm telling you, they did. I swear.
I swear. It's true. It's true.
I swear.
Let's see. Let's see. There's a few. Like you wanted to, or you mentioned pre-show that story about a car that was pulled out of the canal in front of Hollywood Studios parking lot. Was apparently
It's a
part of a
getaway
robbery.
car.
A getaway car from a Dollar General robbery. Like,
Oh, brother.
and somehow they ended up, I guess, running there and then crashing into the lake.
What was the thought? I mean,
I guess they
were they
thought
already-
they could get away by going into that parking lot. Because you can, after hours, I'm assuming this was the middle of the night, you can kind of get in there.
you can still get
potentially.
in.
Yeah. Usually you can get in the parking lot area still.
Yeah. Even though there's cones, but they're not.
Well, there's
Like
like,
s-
yeah.
They're like spaced though, where you can go around them. So-
Yeah, at Hollywood Studios, you can go all the way to the left and get around them, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
But
kind
if
of
you're running
pointless.
from a Dollar General, do you really
You
care about
probably
the
just run it
cones?
over. Yeah, you probably just run the cones over.
Like, oh, wait, there's cones. Let's not do
It's
that.
like, put on the brakes. I mean, were they? Here's the thing: over a store robbery in Florida, were they literally in high speed pursuit of them at this point? I mean,
Didn't seem like it.
so what was the deal? Why were they?
I guess they were just trying to get away, and then maybe it was dark and they didn't see where they were going. And it said in that story that they were caught in the wooded area. They caught them later, so I don't know.
They didn't even get away
Correct.
after all
Well,
that.
I mean, their vehicle didn't get away, so got away into the canal.
Interesting. I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking.
So, on another note, there's more and more Magic Band Pluses coming out. Lots of different designs. Any of them entice you to want to buy one?
No, I haven't even looked at them. So
There's Food and Wine Festival ones. There's an Epcot 40th one.
nah.
Limited release, so you got to get on it before they sell out and you miss out on it
Yeah, I just don't care.
forever.
I still don't care.
This doesn't entice you. Not at
Nope.
all.
Does it entice you?
No, not really.
Okay, well, there you go.
Although I do
This-
like the Epcot 40th one, so that might be the one I would get if and when I do get one.
I don't care. I mean, at this point, I don't care. I'll just give me the cards. I just want to get in.
Go back to the credit card style.
Well, I mean, that's what I used the last time I was there. They gave me the
Your
yeah.
pass holder card, you use that one?
hmm
Oh, okay. Yeah,
There was
you can
that,
get-
but then they also gave me one at the room for like a room key card.
Oh, wow. Why? Guess you don't want to use a Magic Band?
Well, I kind of left the passes, so
Oh, you left them at home.
I had to get all. Yeah, when I got there, I was like, that was the one thing I forgot.
It's like, oh, shoot, I forgot.
Yeah.
I always forget stuff, too. So.
Speaking of which, mine will have expired by the time this episode airs as well.
Well, you still have 30 days after. Are you going to let them
I don't think
lapse?
I don't think I'm going to. I don't think I'm going to renew. I just don't. I feel like I could better spend my money otherwise. That's the thing. That's just the way I feel right now. I don't really feel like I need to be dropping that amount at one time at the moment either. So it's kind of a combination of things. I would have had it not, but I just, even over this past year, I feel like I got just barely enough use out of it when it was all said and done. And then I was planning on using it for things like these pass holder previews, but they've just about made those next to impossible to get.
True. Yeah,
So, with all
we'll see
that-
what Trons is going to be like,
Yeah.
assuming they continue that.
But with all that happening, if they continue it the way they're doing it, it's just garbage. I mean, it's just a bunch of it's almost like there's
Rubbish? Is that what you're trying to say?
it's rubbish.
Wow. Okay.
You know, speaking of which, I made this comment in our little chat session there after watching Andor. I was like, why is it everybody in the Star Wars universe has like a European accent of some kind or something like that? You ever notice that?
I was going to
Some
say, it's
European
because
accent.
originally they filmed it in London. I mean, actually, they still film a lot of it in London.
But I mean, does everybody in the future talk British, or not necessarily even British, just some sort of European accent? Sometimes
Well,
Scottish,
you think
sometimes
of imperialism and,
in Britain.
and colonization and all this. Yeah.
Oh wow,
Britain
what
is
was
at the
that?
forefront of that.
I just wonder. I mean, the time period, I get it. You're talking about, but the actors. I mean, they did audition. I mean, just because they went to all these places doesn't mean anything. But and the main characters, of course, spoke American English for the most part. But now they just pretty much make everybody like they just went with that. You know what I mean? Like the later films, they just went with that.
Right.
I don't know.
It was funny too that John Boyega is very British. He played it with an American accent.
Yeah, right. And he like
funny.
totally went the other way.
But it just fit. I mean, it does fit the character, I guess. But it's just kind of funny that
I don't know why it just hit me all of a sudden. It's like, does everybody speak this way? It was like, I guess they kind of the majority of them do.
A lot do, yeah.
Hmm.
Not just the bad guys, though, but
in the early days, it kind of was mostly the bad guys, but not all. Because think about it, Sir Alec Guinness had a little bit of a accent.
He did, yeah.
And of course, C-3PO.
Right. Oh my.
Anthony Daniels, yeah.
Yep.
Had a bit of an accent. So, Mon Mothma's in Andor, by the way.
Right. Which she was technically in. Wasn't she in Revenge of the Sith? Kind of. No, am I thinking?
I don't
wrong?
remember. I mean, she has an active role in this, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, that's cool.
So,
many Bothans died to bring us this information.
That's the only thing I could think of when I saw her. I was like, that's like her most famous line, apparently.
Right. Just the way she delivered that was good. Yeah.
Another accent, by the way.
Yes. There you have it.
Oh, I was going to say, by the way, also in this series, Bootstrap Bill is in it. Forgot that guy's name, but he's
wow. That's a weird
he's
crossover.
He's an Andor.
Bootstraps.
I forgot. He's got a weird name. It's like starts with an S. It's something like he's like Scandinavian or something. I can't originally, so it's why I say it has a kind of a weird name.
Bill.
But no, I know the actor that plays him is what I'm trying to say.
Yes, I know. I was just kidding.
Anyway.
Does he have a blaster strapped to his bootstraps? It doesn't really make sense.
No.
Doesn't roll off the tongue as well.
No, not at all. The only other role I can think of that I remember seeing him in, though, was King Arthur, because he was the antagonist in that. Right. Did you ever see that?
No, I have not seen that one, no.
That was a long time ago.
Here's just an FYI, November 8th, so about a month from the time you're hearing this, roughly, the next fiscal call for Disney will be, they'll be discussing the entire year because their fiscal year started October 1st. So that means we'll get to see what 2022's fiscal year was for Disney.
I wonder how much of the current stock price they're going to try to blame on the fact that everything is in that same general boat for the most part, whenever they probably could have done something about it. Anyway.
What happened to it? Is it down again?
Oh, it's down. Yeah, it's way down from where it was. But I mean, it took a dip several months ago, truthfully. It's just been on a steady decline.
Took a dip in the pool.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, let's transition then. Here's a transition topic before we get to Epcot. I was reading this post someone made about which rides had the best queues.
Oh, yeah.
Someone posed this question that I thought was interesting. Is there a ride, any of the four parks, that the queue itself is better than the ride experience?
The queue is better.
Right.
Than
you enjoy the queue more than you enjoy the ride. Is there a possibility of that?
Oh, I feel there's a possibility out there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to think of one.
Is there?
Maybe we should break it down real quick. We could probably do this
park by
quickly.
park.
Can you think of one at Animal Kingdom in which the queue is better, or the attraction, right? Or does it have to be a ride?
I don't guess it has to be a ride. It could be whatever.
Okay, so one of the first ones that comes to mind, Animal Kingdom one, is actually It's Tough to Be a Bug.
Basically, the queue is like the surrounding area of the Tree of Life, so it is kind of cool.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what I said. It's kind of slowly but surely shrinking you down to the size of a bug.
Yeah, that is inventive and cool.
Like, can you think of another one that you would say the queue at least rivals the attraction?
I would say, and since Jason's not here to defend it, Kali.
Oh, gosh. You would say Kali's queue is better than the ride?
Kali's an okay
Actually, that's a pretty good.
ride.
That's a pretty good case though, because Kali, as far as raft rides go,
it's
one of the worst. Really.
Yeah.
If I were going to give one that overall is more fun, it's probably going to be not a Disney one. Let's just put it that way.
Right. Yeah, I don't.
That's one that you would actually give, if you're going to compare the type of ride, you're going to give the nod to, let's just say Universal in this case, with Popeye, Bluto's Builds Rats Barges.
Mm-hmm. So that's one I would say, but I know, yeah, Jason, if you're driving in your car and you're hearing this, my apologies for talking bad about Kali, but
Talking bad. You're not here to defend it, though, so
no,
we'll just say whatever we want.
but I can hear him.
Your fault.
Already talking about it.
I thought you might go over to Navi, but the queue's really not that good, so.
No, the queue is horrible for Navi. That one I will definitely give to.
They spent zero time. They spent all the time on Flight of Passage's queue, and they're like, well, we got to make one for Navi.
Right,
so.
let's just make like a canopy and put some hay on top of it.
And
That's
then
what it feels like.
almost like build this weird idol at the end of it, almost is what it looks like.
Right.
That's what it kind of looks like.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's a terrible. Anyway, what about Epcot?
Studios?
Oh,
we're on Epcot first.
Well, actually, let's end with Epcot so that we can transition into talking about Epcot.
Okay, studios then.
Studios.
I can't really think of one in which the queue rivals the attraction because there's so many good attractions, really.
I mean, the one that came to mind would be Smuggler's Run, but I think the ride is better.
That's probably the closest thing.
Right. I'd say the
That's
ride
probably the
is
closest
better.
thing. Like, the queue is good. It's one of the better queues in all of Hollywood studios, really.
Right.
Like, Tower of Terror is good, but it's also short.
Right.
The parts that are themed. It's not really a whole lot themed to the Rock and Roller
But the
Coaster
ride's
queue,
really good.
truthfully, but
Yeah. But the queue's
definitely
not better.
definitely not a whole lot. This, I would say, is themed to Slinky Dog. That's just...
Yeah. I mean, Riders of the Resistance is a decent queue, but it's not...
Yeah, it's very disappointing, really,
Yeah.
compared to what it could have been.
It's not better than the ride.
Not by a long shot.
The best queue is definitely Smuggler's Run.
Yeah, I think that's probably a fair assessment for Hollywood Studios.
It's not far off from the ride experience. I mean, the ride experience is okay.
It's almost like they go hand in hand there, though. It's like part of the experience there,
Yeah.
like the whole package. The queue's part of it.
I'd say that's a tie. So what about MK? Is there one there that the queue's better? The queues at MK
the
are
queues
not
there
great.
are not very good in period.
I might say Peter Pan's. I don't know.
Is better than the ride? Oh. Or
Not
rivals it?
really.
You know, I think of some of the better queues, though, at Magic Kingdom. I think of the ones like Splash. I think of
Yeah.
Haunted Mansion, actually. Well, because of the graveyard.
Right. Okay.
Thunder doesn't have much of a theme, really.
I like Big Thunder's queue, though, compared to others.
You can tell it's definitely old school.
It's not better than the ride, though.
It's definitely old school because you barely have enough room to walk it. Gosh, Pirates is one of the better themed ones, but it's not better than the actual attraction. Although in Florida, it might actually rival the attraction.
It would be closer to even,
Yeah. That might be the closest one to this theme, to what they're asking.
Right.
But as far as one that's actually better, I can't really think of one.
Yeah,
So.
I can't think of one there either. Now, Epcot, though. Is there a queue that's better than the ride? Not really. I was trying to think, is Ratatouille's the closest, though? I don't know. The queue's not fantastic.
The thing is,
there.
the queue is a very small section of it is really
Looks good.
heavily themed.
Right.
Once again,
Guardians has a good queue for Epcot, but it's not. Of course, the ride is a million times better than the queue. But
better than the attraction. I'm surprised you didn't say like Nemo, because the queue's pretty good there.
Especially if you're it's a hot day, you can get in there and get some AC. Sure.
Well, the other thing about that queue is you usually just walk it too.
Right. You're usually running actually to get to the front. That one probably wins then. Yeah, it's better than the ride to me.
I was just trying to think of which other ones have queues that are, but none of them are really truly still better than the attraction, though. That's the thing. So I think the answer is no to what they were asking.
Is Imagination's queue better than the ride? At this point, it's
not really. I mean, the ride is. I still think that
queue.
the queue's not. Yeah, I mean, it's got a few neat little things in it.
Not much, so yeah.
Like the fact that it has Dean Higgins on one of the doors. Like only so many people would get that.
Yeah.
That remember that at this point. There's only so many people that remember that at this point.
Right. Yeah.
I started to say something like Mission Space, but no, that can't be right.
Hmm.
Yeah, I can't really. I mean, Grand Fiesta Tour, the
The
queue
Mexico
pretty much is
Pavilion.
like just the beginning of the ride. Like you can still see the beginning of the ride. Yeah, I mean you can because like you see
That's
the
pretty cool.
pyramid right at the beginning. So,
I'm going with Nemo. That's
I
my
don't know. So I'm gonna go
right,
with
better than the ride. Yeah.
Well, his question was, "Is there a queue better?"
I'm still going with
So I'm
Nemo.
gonna go with. I'm gonna go with no.
Yeah.
I think we've got some things that are close, but still actually better.
All right.
No.
Well, that was a fun transitional topic.
So let's talk about Epcot now.
Epcot is 40 years old as
That's
of
right.
October 1st. We have experienced Epcot for most of those 40 years. 83 maybe? When was your first Epcot? 82? Like, when did you go first?
So it was within about 6 or 7 months after the opening.
Right. This was pre-me, so I wasn't there. But
Yeah. I got to thinking about that. That means I can say that I visited each park minus Magic Kingdom in its...
first year
Well,
of operation.
Animal Kingdom was a little bit past its first year of operation. It was like a year and 3 months or 2 months or whatever when I first experienced that one. So within the first 2 years of its operation, I've experienced each park save Magic Kingdom.
Right. Well, the only reason that was the case was you weren't born in time.
Right.
But yeah, otherwise you probably would have been because was your mom there in 73 or 72? I mean,
Oh, it was not long after it was open.
okay, so
I can't remember what year they went, but it was not long after.
So yeah, so maybe she, as your proxy, was
That's
there.
my
That
connection.
yeah, it's your connection.
Yeah. And when they did the 82 soundtrack that they played, like the entrance music here this past weekend, which from what I've heard is already gone. I wish they would have done it at least like a month.
Yeah.
Apparently that's already gone. It was kind of neat seeing one of the YouTubers actually like just stood there just inside the entrance facing Spaceship Earth and recorded the whole thing.
Nice.
What was interesting about that, though, is I was thinking that's similar to what it would have been like to enter Epcot in the 80s because that theme music was playing and the fountains
Right.
back to what it was. Yeah,
Nice.
back then. So they've basically recreated at least the entrance
Yeah.
as much as possible. So that was pretty cool.
Yep.
And then you pass Spaceship Earth and the familiarity fades. It's all done.
Right. Because beyond Spaceship Earth right now is still just walls of nothingness.
Well, beyond Spaceship Earth, it's all different.
Yeah, all that too. But except for, I guess, the land. Somewhat. It's somewhat the same.
Do you know what's interesting is I'm not sure if it's changed. I think it has from what I've heard, but it was one of the last original area soundtracks to go was the land. It was the same one for a long time.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So they still played it for a really long time. Yeah, the land, back in the day, it was just so much better in there, truthfully.
When there was Kitchen Cabaret and then...
Well, I mean,
the
you first walk in there and you still have that giant white fountain or whatever it was in the middle or down there on the left bottom floor. And the balloons actually moved. The artwork on the ceiling was better. I mean, it was just better. That's not an attraction. That's not a pavilion that has changed for the better, truthfully, we'll just say. Even though living with the land, I mean, it's still essentially the same
For the most part.
idea behind it, but
I still love riding the land, though. Still love the ride.
I don't understand. Listen to the land. The song itself really doesn't sound all that dated to me. I mean, it's very folksy.
It does to me. It does to me.
I mean, it's a folksy type of tune. It would fit.
Yeah. I'm sure you could have somebody re-record it these days. There's got to be somebody. Make it sound a little more modern.
Didn't that same guy write a track for one of the other attractions that they didn't use? The same guy that originally did Listen to the Land, he wrote a song for one of the other Future World attractions, and they ended up not using it. It might have been World of Motion, now that I think about it. And they ended up going with the Sherman Brothers and their 7,000 different versions of Fun to Be Free that they used.
Right.
In the attraction. I can't remember what other songs were Sherman Brothers. It might have been One Little Spark. Was that a Sherman Brothers? Sounds like their style.
Could have been. So, my first trip was 1987, but I don't remember it because I was a year old.
But you have video that helps you remember.
It does, yes. But we definitely went to Epcot.
Yep.
In 87.
That was the first time that we experienced the living seas because it had only been there since the previous year.
Right. And let's see, remind me, when we went in 89, did we do the Wonders of Life, or was it opened yet?
Well, I did.
I don't remember.
You guys didn't even go to Epcot.
Oh, did we?
Mm-mm.
Really? Yeah.
You went to Fort Wilderness the day we went to Epcot.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Interesting.
And that day, by the way, was dead that we went.
Really?
That much I remember. Even way back then, I was like, it was dead at Epcot. It was one of the least busiest days I'd ever been to any park.
Wow.
I don't know why. I do remember it was a Friday. I don't know why I remember that it was a Friday, but I do. I mean, you got to remember I was between 10 and 11, so I do remember more.
Right.
I think the only park that we went together to that year was
Studios?
MGM. Yeah, because we kind of had different days for the other parks. So we went to Epcot the next day. We did, anyway. And then we went to Magic Kingdom last. But I think y'all went to Magic Kingdom the same day we went to Epcot, and then y'all went to Fort Wilderness the day we went to Magic Kingdom. Maybe that was what it was. It was something like that.
I don't remember. I was only 3, so I don't remember that.
You know, it's weird that sometimes you have these flashes or whatever of things you remember that are just random, right? For whatever reason, that day we went to Epcot, I remember walking along in the Poly, and there was a plane or a helicopter, I think, passing over above. And for some reason, I still remember that moment. And I don't even know why.
Bioreconstruct? Oh, just kidding.
Right. Yeah, he was one.
A young pilot? No.
Yes, very young.
A young Navy pilot?
Yeah. But I don't know why I remember that. But that's one of the things I remember. I remember it was my first trip on Space Mountain, I think, was that year too.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And of course, that was my first roller coaster, actually, I think.
Yeah.
So
it must have been 92 or early 90s when... So there's a photograph I have, which I'll probably put as in the...
Look at this photograph.
Yes. So look at this photograph, I mean, of me riding... This is literally me looking
I hope so.
Well, I mean, it's on the ride, though, of World of Motion. And it's the scene, of course, in the street where the guy's trying to, like, the cart spilled and the,
Yeah, there's a lot going on in that scene, but it's totally
a lot,
awesome.
yeah. Yeah, one of my
That's
favorites.
one of the best scenes.
And that stood out in my mind. And the other scene that I always think about is the cop on the motorcycle behind the billboard waiting for you. I always remembered that. It kind of reminded me of Haunted Mansion 2 with the guys with the dog, but I don't know why. Anyway.
World of Motion was a really good attraction. It really was.
One of my favorites. But it closed too early for me to have a lot of fond memories of it. I do remember that scene and certain scenes I thought were great.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I have video that I took in 94, which would end up being the last time we went on it.
We rode it, yeah.
Yeah.
Before it closed down.
In Epcot 94. It literally said that on the maps, by the way, guys. I don't know why they chose that particular year to call it Epcot 94, but they did. So
their 12th year of operation.
I think there was something they were going with because they made a lot of changes in 94.
Yeah.
It was on the verge of energy changing to Ellen. It hadn't changed just yet, but it was about to. They had already changed the land. They already changed Kitchen Cabaret to Food Rocks, and they already changed Listen to the Land to Living with the Land at that point. So it was the beginning of Epcot's overhaul.
Right. Transformation into the modern era.
Right.
I mean, there's probably more we can reminisce over about the past, but as far as present, the construction pit is taking shape. The Journey of Water, they're rebuilding the building they tore down, the old Community Corps.
I
I'm not
don't know.
exactly sure why they
Yes.
tore it down and built it back.
Community Corps 2.0.
I suppose.
Actually, it wasn't even Community Corps when they tore it down. It was Innoventions, but
Yeah.
and now it's Community Corps again. I guess I don't know.
I think what I would say about today's Epcot is present day is, thankfully Guardians was in the works before COVID, because COVID really Epcot got the brunt of the cutbacks. Animal Kingdom got updates well before, first, I would say, right? And then Studios really got one.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were working on Epcot, and I guess Tron, as far as Magic Kingdom goes, was in the works, and now everything is. Epcot really was the one that was supposed to be huge overhaul, and now.
Well, there's several things that were either
nothing
said to be coming or rumored to be coming.
Spaceship Earth redo or
It wasn't even mentioned at all in D23, by the way.
Play Pavilion, not mentioned
at all.
Mary
Poppins, not mentioned at all. So, yeah.
And Grand Fiesta Tour has been rumored forever that Coco would come there. Nothing on that either.
Gosh, what year did Coco come out at this point? Wasn't it 2016?
Yeah,
16 or 17?
Yeah,
it's one of the two. So it's been 5 years plus.
2017, yeah. 5 years, yeah.
Because it was like October, November, I think. So we're really literally right at 5 years.
Right. It's basically been rumored since it came out that they were going to do that.
Pretty much.
And when they had that weird, Epcot preview area at the Odyssey, they had Coco elements. Like they had a guitar leaning against the Epcot Pavilion. Like they were hinting that they were going to do more, but they never revealed. And of course now that whole thing, that Epcot preview area is completely torn down because now it's Santa Claus will be in there. But I mean, there's no point, right? I mean, everything has been cut back like so dramatically.
Yeah.
But I remember going in there and seeing the Mary Poppins preview part of that film, that Cherry Tree Lane was coming. Now nothing. So, and that I'm sad every time I look at that concept art of what was going to be the festival center, over there by where the old Club Cool and the Starbucks was. That was such a cool looking building. And of course they were going to charge, insane amounts to be able to watch the fireworks from on top of that building. But, oh well, now it's never going to even happen. So, sadness.
Yeah, Epcot had more cut than any other park.
By far.
The only thing I can think of from Magic Kingdom that was cut was that theater.
Yeah, the Main Street Theater, yeah.
But anyway,
yeah.
We found out later, Harmonia, since we're in Epcot, but also Enchantment was not permanent, which no one ever hinted at that whenever this first started, right, that it was just a 50th anniversary thing. We just under the impression that it was changing, right?
Yeah.
So apparently that's how it was supposed to be.
Right, well, that's what they're saying now. But
that's what they're saying now, but I mean, the show itself, you would think you would have had some sort of tie to it being the 50th anniversary, that some people would think, oh, it's just for the 50th. But there was literally nothing that said 50th.
Right.
Indicated 50th. Nothing.
Right. Yeah, not at all.
So,
good point.
I don't get it, but whatever.
Well, as far as present day, though, Beacons of Magic, I think we all agree is one of the best things.
It should stay.
Yeah, and I'm sure it will.
Yeah, in some form.
Guardians, I think, is a really good replacement for Energy. I think Energy was losing its energy.
It's losing its energy.
It was.
Yeah, I mean, it's that building. It's had It's really had the original, the Ellen overhaul, and then now Guardians.
Yeah.
So it's had three things.
And as my son pointed out, now every park has a coaster, which he's happy about.
Yeah, I guess so.
So that's a good thing. Future, though, I don't know. What the future looks bleak. I'm going to be probably disappointed with whatever they do with the giant pit. I think Journey of Water will be pretty good. The Dreamers Point statue, I think, will be okay, but it's such a big area that is not going to be great. I don't know.
I think right now Journey of Water has a good opportunity to actually be one of those things that people are
Surprised by.
surprised by, like, just because there's not a whole lot being known about exactly what's going on, right?
I suppose.
It's not generating that type of buzz, so it has a chance to be one of those surprises, like you say, those
Under the
kind
radar
of sneaks
kinda
up
thing.
on you, and it's good. Let me give you an example. Like when New Fantasyland opened, obviously the majority of the focus was on Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, right? As the attraction that opened. However, another really good one that did not get a lot of buzz ended up to be Enchanted Tales with Belle, because it's not a ride per se, but it is a good experience.
Yeah.
So,
and you don't hear anything about that one either. Like, is that coming back?
good question.
So.
I would think that it would. It should. I mean, it was definitely good.
Surprised they haven't brought
Good
that
experience
back
for
already.
little kids. They get interaction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it quite a bit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I would actually say I enjoy that more than even Mermaid. So.
Well, maybe. Yeah. Perhaps.
But, that's something I would say akin to that. Something that's kind of like, it's not a ride per se, but it stands to be a really good attraction, is what it is, of a different kind.
Yeah, it's a good attraction.
And they're probably in the future, let's just be honest, they're probably going to incorporate a couple more rides in World Showcase to try and spread that out a little bit.
One thing I will say about Journey of Water is I'm sure that they'll add a Magic Band Plus element to it as well. It'll light up when you get near Tafiti,
Since we're talking about Epcot and past, present, future, right? One of the things that was rumored back in the day
was
Mount Fuji. Fuji, not Fiji. Fuji.
Roller coaster.
Roller coaster, thrill ride of some kind. In Japan was talked about it once upon a time.
There's even concept art for it.
Mm-hmm. Trying to think if there's another one that's ever had anything.
It was basically a Matterhorn type.
Yeah, and that might have been one of the reasons why it was scrapped when it was all said and done. It's almost like they ended up making it over at Animal Kingdom in the form of Everest. They just chose a different mountain.
Yeah.
When you think about it. Maybe they thought at the time, it was like, well, there's way too many mountains here.
Right.
Why is everything got to be a mountain when it comes to Disney World?
Or maybe back in the day, they were like, how would this look from other, vantage points? Like, they actually cared about that back then.
Yeah, that's a good point. They might have considered that. But they needed to get away from the mountain thing when you think about it. It was just, they were probably getting starting to get a little redundant.
Yeah.
You got Big Thunder Mountain, Space Mountain, Splash Mountain, Mount Everest.
So, yeah, I wonder, because Joe Rohde is mentioned in that video where they talked about Mount Fuji. Like, he's drawing stuff for Animal Kingdom in that. There's a video out there where they talk about it. I've seen it. And I wonder if maybe he took some of that inspiration and was like, let's make Mount Everest. Maybe that's, what came of the Mount Fuji project. Yeah.
Possibly. All those mountains. Anybody try to throw a football over it? No.
Yeah. Uncle Rico. All right.
A football over that mountain.
You could probably throw a football over, like, Space Mountain.
I don't know. Let's go try it one day. Be one of those things. Take one to the park. Go along.
Don't want to get... Yeah, you'd get thrown out for that, for sure.
Or if you take it on the ride. Have you seen this thing, by the way, speaking of mountains?
Yeah.
Photos from, like, Splash Mountain where people tried to, like, stage certain things. Some of them I think are photoshopped, but like they're doing things like reading the paper while they're going down, or one photo somebody put into them like playing chess on it. Or
or
stuff like that.
Nintendo or something. I saw where they
I
had
feel like some of those are photoshopped from the looks of it.
I don't know how they...
I don't feel like they got those things actually on the ride. Some of them may have.
It's possible. Who knows? Most of those were Disneyland, though, weren't they, or no?
There's a mixture.
Some? Okay.
There's a mixture of them, yeah.
I have seen, like, a Reddit thread or something with those pictures on it. Several of them, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, of course, the one that probably is genuine is the angry woman or whatever, the one with her arms crossed. That one's probably genuine, obviously. Stuff like that.
Right.
But, yeah.
There's some good ones. I have a picture of someone, like the kid with me lost his hat. It was my son's friend, and his hat flew off. And in the picture, his sister is catching the hat in the back row of the boat, And we were in the front, and she caught his hat. It's in the picture.
You
That's
know,
a good
earlier
one.
when I think I mentioned to you, I don't remember if this was on air or not, when we were talking about properties like Family Guy, right? Did you see that clip?
Yeah.
I think I shared it about Stewie and the family doing on Splash Mountain.
Sorry.
About Stewie and the family he was riding
Yeah.
with on Splash Mountain. But they were asking him to
right.
duck down, not to be in the picture or whatever.
Right. And,
And he was defiant, like, you know what? Matter of fact, I'm going to stand.
right.
I'm going to show the pictures, knocking his head off.
Reminded me of the Dexter's Laboratory one, too, though.
Oh, really?
Where he grew taller, remember?
Yeah.
And he hit the tunnel.
I was actually reminded of a Weird Al song, too, by that. But anyway. You know, there was a news story we didn't mention that I thought was pretty interesting.
Okay, throw it in real quick.
About Reedy Creek Improvement.
Oh,
How
yes.
they
I almost
secured a
mentioned
$3
that.
million line of credit
Yes.
to pay for electricity should the dissolution move forward, which I don't think it's going to, but
Right. So for a month.
they're
So
prepared.
their electricity bill is $3 million a month.
Is it really?
I guess. I mean, it said for a month. That's what that said it would cover is 1 month.
Yeah, I find it hard to believe it's $3 million a month. That's steep.
Why not? I think
I don't
if it's all of Walt Disney World, it's definitely $3 million
Maybe
a
it
month.
could be.
Yeah.
I didn't realize their like little place here was on Hotel Plaza Boulevard. I've obviously passed it and didn't realize it. Because I've been all up and down Hotel Plaza Boulevard.
Isn't it next to where the preview center is?
It
or
probably
was.
is, yeah.
I think it's like the building over or... Yeah. I've seen it
Yeah.
because it said Reedy Creek on it. Yeah.
But that whole area, though, looks different since they redid Disney Springs. I just can't explain why it looks different, but it does.
Yeah.
Like, I would have never thought how close, like, the Best Western is to Disney Springs until now. It just didn't seem like it was as close as it actually is back when I stayed there. So.
Yeah, it felt like back in the day when we took buses to Springs and it dropped you off over on the west side. Not the west side. Over by like Earl's Sandwich and all that.
I took it to the west side before. They used to have a bus stop there.
Right. But the one I'm thinking of was the one over by Earl's Sandwich and stuff.
Well, they had two. What they
Christmas
called
shop
it. What
and
do they
all
call it? They had West Side. Oh, they had three. Excuse me, total. They had West Side. They had Marketplace.
Right.
And what was the other one called?
Don't remember. But
Pleasure Island, maybe? No, surely not.
I don't recall. But
I had to
just
find an
remember
old map.
being dropped off there, and it just felt like you were a world away from everywhere else. It just didn't feel like it was.
You know, I could actually understand why they eventually did away with the West Side bus stop, because the time that I was there, I mean, it was like 6 miles, it seemed like, on just to the, like from the stop itself, like you had to walk a long way just to get to right there where Disney Quest was, right? Like it was one of the first things you saw back then. And I think they've expanded even to Disney, downtown Disney, to now Disney Springs. I think they've even expanded that area some. It's probably one of the reasons the bus stop went away.
Yeah. Well, the central stop area now makes the most sense. It's just centralized, and you can get everywhere fairly quickly from the central point.
Well, you can,
Except
as
for
far
the
as
west side is still
I was going to say the number of stops that they have out in the middle there. You sometimes have to walk a pretty good way depending on what resort you're in. If you're at if you're like say at one of the value resorts, to get to that stop, you have to walk a pretty good distance.
Well, because every bus stop area has to have 48 stops now because there's so many resorts.
Right. Well, I was just saying, like, if you're in a value resort, I know, because we walked a pretty good way that one evening.
You will, if you're at a value, you guarantee you're going to be the furthest bus stop.
Which, you know, doesn't make sense, especially when it comes to, say, Magic Kingdom or ones that have monorail access. We'll put it that way. The other places should have a closer bus stop. Well, Magic Kingdom, it's not so bad since they redid it. It's actually pretty much equal.
Do they even have a bus to, like, Polynesian Contemporary from the Magic Kingdom?
No, they don't.
Yeah.
But what I meant was there's still deluxe resorts like Yacht Club, Beach Club, ones like that would have the closest, most likely.
Yeah.
Animal Kingdom.
Alrighty. I think that's a good stopping point, though. We got off topic. So where can we be found online to keep in touch
There's
with
always Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That is all at TWTM Podcast. We have a Spreadshirt store, which you can get our exclusive TWTM merchandise at shop.spreadshirt.com/TWTM podcast. And we have a YouTube channel if you would like to go check that out. And where can you find that and more, Adam?
Our website, which is travelingwiththemouse.com. And we have an email address, which is podcast@travelingwiththemouse.com. And if you want help planning your next trip, you can reach out to our travel agent friend. Her name is Jill Dilbeck, and her email address is jilldilbeck@gmail.com. So, for John, my name is Adam, and this has been Traveling with the Mouse. We hope you will join us on our next trip.
Which will be when Jason goes, if he goes.
Yeah. Trip report next week.